How's it going, guys? Donovan here. In today's video, I'm finally doing something that I kind of was hesitant to do, mostly for my own sanity and for the sake of like my own mental health. I had a little bit of free time the other day and I decided to start adding up the cost of everything that I have done to my RT. And by everything, I mean every visual modification, performance modification, and every tune that I've done. And in addition, this is kind of like retrospective as well. And what I mean by that is I'm also including modifications that were once on the car and I took off to replace them. For example, at one point this car had shorty headers and I took those off and replaced them with long tube headers. I have a list here with everything, I think. It is likely that I am going to forget at least one thing. I also brought my fancy TI-84s and I'm going to give you guys a rough total on how much money I don't want to say wasted, but dumped into the car at this point in time. So there's so many items on this list that I'm just going to go ahead and get started from the top. Number one was tint. I got my windows tinted when the car was like a week old. That's the first thing everybody should do so you're not driving around a fishbowl. That was $200. Next was my taillight tint. The taillight tint that's on the car now, I actually put on the car after I had it for like a year and a half, but it was only $50. My uncle installed it for free, so I just had to pay the materials fee. Stripes, $200, give or take. My uncle also installed those for me. I'm pretty sure I just bought him pizza. Next is the rear diffuser. I got rid of the square exhaust tips at the back and put real exhaust tips. Those exhaust tips also cost me about $50, and then the rear diffuser itself was about $200. The hood, which is the newest thing I've done to the car, was a Scat Pack hood off of a 2020 wide body, but fit right on the car. That ran me only $600. In this price, I'm including the rims that I bought like for my street tires, and I'm not including the cost of the street tires. However, in this price, I'm also including $600 that I paid for my drag pack, and the drag pack included the 17-inch RaceStars as well as the Mickey Thompsons. I guess the easiest way to say this is all of my rims and my drag radials, but not my street tires themselves. All those together cost me about $1,600, so $600 for the drag pack. I got a great deal on those, and $1,000 for the rims. So in total, for visual modifications, I think we're at about $2,900. I don't think I forgot anything, hopefully. If I did, I'll put something on the screen. Moving on to engine mods. Now this is where a majority of my money has gone. And I'm not going to do this in any particular order, but let's just get started. The cam kit was $1,300. So that included the cam itself, springs, retainers, push rods, things like that. The shorty headers, which were on the car like the first year I had it, were $500. Of course, a couple years later, I went ahead and got long tubes, and that was $700. Next was a thermostat. I have a 180-degree thermostat in here. That was $40. The first intake I got for my 5.7 intake manifold was a JLT. It was about $250. And then the second intake that I bought when I got my 392 manifold was another JLT. That one was a little more expensive at about $300. When I moved on to JBA long tube headers, I had to get Catless mids. Had to, right? That was $250. The Borla mufflers were $450. They're just the S-type mufflers. Hellcat Injectors, $300. 392 intake manifold I got it for $400 from a guy on Facebook Marketplace. Of course, you have to buy the wiring and everything for it, or at least the wiring kits. I just said that was another $300-ish. Lifters, since my cam kit didn't come with lifters, I bought Hellcat ones, which are just non-MDS lifters. Those were $400. And then I decided to add a miscellaneous item on here, and that miscellaneous item is just supposed to encompass all the other things I've purchased, like head gaskets, and stupid little things that we broke or I've broken while working on the car. Like, for example, when we were removing the crank pulley, we broke it and I had to buy a new one, which was another $200. So I just decided to throw something like $1,000 at it and call that good for all the miscellaneous items. For engine stuff, we're looking at about $6,940. Now, I also want to add that these prices do not include installation prices, because we did all this work ourselves, and by we I mean like my dad, myself, and like my friend of mine named Gabe. We pretty much did all this stuff. Also, I forgot to include the differential. I have that written down here, and that's included in that $69.40 figure, but that was about $750. That's the 309 limited slip diff. Dude, that thing's so dumb. It should just come in the car from the factory, but don't get me started. Next, moving on to the tuning stuff. Now, this car has seen like 5 different tuners, and I decided to include the prices of all of them in this total, just because that's the money I've spent. First off, I bought the Diablo Sport Trinity T2 thing, and then did the PCM cross shipment. I got a fairly good deal on that. I got it for $600. Next, I bought HP Tuner's tuning module, which I have right here. Plus, I had to repurchase the credits because I started like tinkering with the tune myself, the transmission tune. That was another $600, $300 for the MPVI2, plus $300 for the credits for the trans and engine tune. Full-blown performance, I don't remember exactly what they charged me. I think it was somewhere in the ballpark of like $1,100 for the tune that I originally got when I went to full-blown. And then before I even had the cam, I also got a custom tune through Hemi Fever. I believe that was $250. That was just a 91 octane tune. Finally, I had a tune from another, I guess, reputable Hemi tuner that's pretty popular. Of course, to this day, I won't mention his name on camera because don't want to hurt his business, but he couldn't get the car running. I ended up getting half of my money back. I was okay with letting him keep the other half for the time he spent working on it, but that was $275. So in total on tuning, I spent about $2,825. Now, before I give you guys the final total, I just want to mention once again, none of this stuff includes installation costs. I saved probably a ton of money doing these installs myself. Of course, there were a lot of hurdles in doing that. There were things that could have been quicker, like I could have gotten the car done faster had I had a professional do it. I honestly think had I paid people to install these parts, it could have been 50% to double the price of what I paid. In total, I think I've spent around $12,665 to get the car where it is today. In this video, I'm not going to discuss whether or not I think that's worth it or whether or not I think it's easier to just go buy a 392. That'll be saved for a video in the future. But just to be completely transparent, that is the money that I spent on the car thus far, in addition to the price of the car from the factory, which I don't even remember what it was. I think it's stickered at like 38. So in retrospect, there are like millions of ways that I could have cut down on this cost. It is what it is. It's easy to say that. I think the learning experience is more valuable than the money I would have saved, so it doesn't bother me. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this was somewhat informative, gives you guys a ballpark on the amount of pain that money that I've dumped into this car. If you did find it informative, please remember to click that subscribe button below. Click the like button if you haven't already. It really helps me get the channel, get its footing, get the video out there to other people, and it helps me bring you guys more content in the future and ultimately more mods. So kind of is what it is. I hope you guys are having a good time. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.